Have you ever felt like shouting at God? Like life hit so hard that all you could do was scream, "Why, Lord?" What if I told you, one man in the Bible actually did that? He didn't just pray, he confronted God directly. He argued. He questioned. He demanded answers. That man's name was Job. A man who had everything, wealth, status, and a big family, lost it all in one heartbreaking wave of tragedy. Then, instead of staying silent, or simply saying God's will be done, Job spoke up. Loudly. Emotionally. Desperately. And what's even more shocking? God responded. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what really happened when Job argued with God. Why God allowed it, and even honored it, and how your deepest doubts might be the doorway to your deepest faith. Let's dive into one of the rawest, most honest moments in the Bible. Let's clear up a myth. Job wasn't silent. People often think he just quietly accepted his suffering. But if you actually read his words, you'll see a man in emotional agony, pouring out his pain. In Job 13 verse 23 to 24, he says, "How many wrongs and sins have I committed? Tell me my offense and my sin. Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy?" That's not timid. That's bold. That's a broken man standing before the Almighty and saying, "Explain yourself." And God doesn't rebuke Job for this. He listens. God isn't scared of your honesty. Real faith isn't pretending everything's okay, it's trusting God enough to bring him your real emotions. Here's where it gets even more intense. After chapter of silence, while Job's friends blame him, while Job defends himself, suddenly, something shifts. Job 38 verse 1 says, "Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind." Not in a whisper. Not in a dream. In a whirlwind. A storm. A moment of chaos. And God doesn't start by comforting Job. He asks Job questions, dozens of them. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Who shut up the sea behind doors? At first, it feels like God is putting Job in his place. But it's deeper than that. God is giving Job perspective. He's not punishing him, he's expanding his vision. God may not always explain why you're suffering, but he always reminds you who he is. And that changes everything. Now here's the plot twist most people miss. After Job has this raw, painful, awe-filled encounter with God, God restores him. Job 42 verse 10 says, "After Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before." Why? Was it because he suffered well? Maybe. But more than that, it was because he wrestled well. Job brought his anger, his confusion, his tears, and laid it all before God. He didn't walk away. He stayed in the conversation, even when it hurt. God doesn't bless fake strength. He blesses faithful struggle. When you bring your mess to him, he meets you in it. So, if you've ever felt like questioning God disqualifies your faith, remember Job. He argued. He wept. He wrestled. And God didn't smite him. God spoke to him. And then God blessed him. Now, if this story moved you, wait until you hear about the night Jacob literally wrestled with God and came out forever changed. It's one of the most powerful, mysterious stories in the entire Bible. White right pointing backhand index. Click here to watch The Night God Fought a Man. I promise, you'll never see your struggle the same way again.